Governor Gavin Newsom, as we mentioned, delivering his much-anticipated State of the State address to lawmakers today, laying out his priorities for his final year in office. 17's Capitol correspondent Eitan Wallace brings you what the governor said and reaction from state lawmakers.
It's time for the President of the United States to act like the President of the United States, all the United States of America.
Governor Gavin Newsom slamming President Donald Trump during the governor's final State of the State address. In his speech, Newsom framed California as a national counterweight to the president, touting the 50-plus lawsuits the state has already filed against the Trump administration since the president took office last January.
Mr. President, you can't cut off critical food assistance for millions of people. You can't send the military into American cities without justification. And you cannot cruelly and illegally cut off funding for medical research, homeland security, or disaster response. That is wrong.
A large part of Newsom's address focused on areas where he says the state is making progress on long-standing challenges, including homelessness. Newsom pointing to early data indicating California saw a 9% drop last year in the number of unsheltered people on the streets.
We're seeing results.
On education, Newsom says his proposed budget will allocate what comes out to a record more than $27,000 per California public school student.
Most significant investments in California's education history. That's a fact.
The governor also unveiling new proposals, including limits on Wall Street investors buying up large numbers of homes in the state. On the issue of fires, Newsom said he's looking to create a rebuilding fund for wildfire victims. Victims Newsom alleges have been ignored by President Trump because the president has yet to approve Newsom's request for nearly $34 billion in federal fire aid for Southern California. As for the state's finances, despite the nonpartisan legislative analyst's office projecting an $18 billion deficit for the year ahead, Newsom did not mention anything about a projected deficit and instead pointed to revenues coming in $42 billion higher than expected.
We got more work to do, but to those with that California derangement syndrome, I'll repeat, it's time to update your talking points.
Republicans clapping back, arguing the speech painted an overly rosy picture of a state dealing with serious issues.
What I saw today was a candidate auditioning instead of a governor governing. We want results, and the reality is costs are out of control. We have the highest gas prices in the nation. People can't afford rent or to buy housing, and that is the real state of the state in California.
We heard in this speech multiple times, it's the president's fault, it's the president's fault. How do you blame somebody that's been in office for 1 year now?
He had a reality distortion field on today, and I think it was pretty obvious.
And on Friday, the head of the California Department of Finance will give a formal presentation providing more details on the governor's budget. At the state capitol, Eitan Wallace, 17 News.